when I applied for the Artist-in-Residence program, I was Tim Westbrook, and some people may know me as Timmy or Tim A. And now today when I introduce myself to people, I am Timothy Westbrook, and I'm really proud of that. And I'm really proud of the strength that that has in identifying with just a name. And I think that expresses how I feel about how I've grown as a person through this Artist-in-Residence program. I clearly can talk a lot, and I've learned how to weed out the things that I need to say and sort of curate my words to express to individuals what they're looking for and how my work can relate to them. I don't know if I had been able to articulate that before I got here, that I just wanted to give everyone all of the information all the time. And through the year, I realized that what I'm able to do is figure out when a person comes in, based on their body language, what they're saying, their interaction with me, what do they want to get out of the work? What are they hoping to achieve when they come in their room? And how do I help them achieve that? And how do I ask them the right questions? Do I ask them questions? That customer service experience is out of control, and amazing to have built that here as a business person. That's so invaluable. In undergraduate studies in college now for fine art, the conversation isn't happening about sales and marketing. That happens when you're getting your master's in art. Right now it's just about the creation process, and obviously I love to do that all day long, but I really learned about the business side of art. And I don't mean that in a profitable, I need to make money all the time sort of business. I mean that in a good business skills. How do you speak with people? How do you address them? How do you work with other people? And how do you do that in the context of art? And how do you treat people who feel that they are not artists? Because people who are not artists and people who think they are not artists are not always the same people. And that's been really fun to figure out. And also at the same time, people who think that they are artists or think that they understand art are not always the same people. And what is their understanding? And how do I relate to that? And also, at the same time, to not put anyone down. Don't, I guess this is more of an advice thing, because I always stayed very open-minded about it. But when people came in and said, that dress is very ugly, and then they said, why would you keep that in your store? And then you say, oh, well, actually, I made it. And then they respond, and they're like, oh. And I'm like, no. I mean, that's so important that you said that, because not everybody likes everything. So what I need to understand is, why don't you like it? Why did you feel that you needed to say that? How do I respond to it? And how should I move forward for you? Would that mean that you are just done with my work? Or could we go into a different conversation about it? How could I make my work speak to you? Or, well, it did. If it, gave you maybe a negative feeling, is that a bad thing? March 27th of 2013 marks an entire year of me having lived in Milwaukee, and that always comes as a shock to people. When they come in, they say, what brought you to Milwaukee? And I'll say, the Artist-in-Residence program. What's the Artist-in-Residence program? Well, you're in it, And or when they come in and they experience my gowns or what I've created, they say, well, why aren't you in New York, or why aren't you in LA? And just very kindly I say, well, I'm only 9 months out of undergrad, and after that I landed here as the Artist-in-Residence. And what I'm not saying is that New York sort of said bye, like see you later, like not really working, because I wasn't comfortable with the idea of you have to move to a place in order to get a job there. I think that if you have certain talents and if you're willing to commit to certain goals that you have, then when you apply for a job, you're saying, I will move there and I will commit and do all of the things that I need to do for you and the company. And so the company should accept that and say, all right, we're hiring you, move here next month. And that's just not the case. People don't put that kind of trust in people, and I'm someone who can be trusted that way. So when I did all of my interviews in New York, the biggest letdown for everyone was that you don't already live here. And I'm like, well, I don't have a job. So if you are willing to pay me, I'll move out here and build a life here. But you know, I have some things going on in Syracuse. So I stayed in Syracuse after graduation and was applying for different art programs. And then I applied to the Artist-in-Residence at the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And they accepted me and said, hey, invitation, we got a big old art community out here, come check it out. And through the Artist-in-Residence program, I have tapped into the national art scene. The hotel has made it possible to be a part of national art reviews, being at the Alliance of Artist Communities national convention. Being able to be in attendance there is giving you a national platform for residencies that are going on all around the world, really. Again, to respond to the idea of, you know, what brought you to Milwaukee? Milwaukee did. It's baffling to me to see a community of artists that is so self-supporting in a way that they include everyone who is relevant to projects they're working on. They're all about collaboration. They're constantly coming together with a great morale for one another, and then they feel as if they're sort of less than. And I'm seeing that a lot with different artists in the area, and I'm just confused because they're able to make it happen. You know, Milwaukee has the resources, Milwaukee has the support. There are companies like the Pfister that are absolutely involved in the art scene and making it a successful place. And all of these artists have voices. People know who these artists are in the community. You know, there are all of these different artist networks, and it's really incredible how many tributaries there are into the lake of the art scene in Milwaukee. And you don't have a voice in New York. There isn't a moment to stand out for what you're doing because there are so many other people there who are doing something just a little bit different, but more or less the same thing. Or, you know, why is yours better? Why are you not getting recognition? And here there is time for everyone to be recognized. There is enough going on that that everyone is really involved in the collective success of the greater Milwaukee art community. There are a lot of really great one-liners that are out there about the program. The hotel itself, we are the palace for the people. The program becomes a bridge between the palace and the people, and a way for people to interact with the hotel and personify the hotel. It's that moment of intimacy, for lack of a better word, with the hotel, and the artist gets to supply that. The artist brings the artwork to life. I like to say that in order to understand the final experience of the art, you have to understand the process and understand that there was a process. And those are all things that the program tries to achieve. And those are definitely a part of the greater conversation that's had about the program. Something that I'd like to offer, and also offer as advice to the incoming artists, is that remember that you are dealing with 3 communities. The hotel is focused on the guests, the people who are from Milwaukee and the surrounding areas, and also the staff. And just recognize that there are 3 parts. And you know, not to shun any group or say that we don't need you, but if you think about in terms of the service industry, breaking down those 3 parts, that if there were no people visiting from outside of Milwaukee, we'd still have weddings. People still come have lunch. You know, brunch is a lot for a lot of locals. So people from the area, they'll come and stay in the hotel and experience the spaces. If no locals were supporting, guests come in. We're an international hotel. People are here. This hotel will not function without the staff. and without the employees and the people who create the life of the hotel. And it's so important to recognize what they add, and their passion, and how much that can inspire you and how much you can inspire them, and their stories, and just I mean, they're just such a moment for the hotel, and don't miss that. That definitely is one of my biggest pieces of advice, is that you are a guest here, and that's one of the first things that they say. And the idea of being a guest in a hotel is often that you come and you walk into an empty room and you go have a good night's sleep. You might eat, you maybe get room service and you meet the room service attendant. But other than that, you meet very few people on your way in and out. And that's not how it is for the Artist-in-Residence. We are a guest in the sense that we are a house guest. So we are meeting everybody in the house, and we need to take the time to appreciate everything that they do for us, and give credit where credit is due. They are a part of every little function. When these lights go out, the engineer is right there to help you out, and they're all, they all mean so much to making the artist successful. Other advice that I have for the artist is try everything. If you are inspired by something, the hotel is the playground. I was so excited about the pool and turning the pool into a mermaid lagoon. There is something in every corner of this hotel. There is history in every corner of this hotel. Figure out how that relates to your work and exploit it. Learn about it, research, get to the bottom of it. How does the hotel relate to what you're doing, and how can you relate what you're doing to the hotel? There is a connection somewhere for everyone in this hotel, and the challenge for each artist is to figure out what is their specific connection.
Good job.